Hi, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. I actually communicated with the person who's talking with me today previously, but it was all through written means for the blog that I work on. Glad to be talking in Zoom time, audio, video, and all the things with author Angela Cervantes. Angela, thank you for jumping on and talking with me.
Hey there. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Before we dig into questions, I noticed this sort of caption or title
Mm.
on the cover of the Cursed Moon, and it says Pura Belpré Honor Author. So, anything that you'd share with us about the that particular award?
Yeah, I received that award, and it was an honor award in 2020 for my book, Letty Out Loud.
Hmm
And
hmm
the Pura Belpré is named after a Puerto Rican librarian, one of the first Latina librarians in the United States. And there's books about her. Like you could even research that and see other books about her. Her name is Pura Belpré. And this award was given to her. This award was named after her, and it's given to Latino, Hispanic, Latinx authors who write about Latino characters in a community. So
hmm
I was very honored to receive that in 2020 for my book, Letty Out Loud. I never expected it. And it's a true honor because it's a book that it's like being recognized by your own, you know what I mean? And knowing
Yeah,
that you're
yeah.
doing a good job. It was validation for so much work. And a lot of the books on that Pura Belpré list that is all up on the American Library Association website. If you want to see all the other books there, you can find it there. They're just all amazing, outstanding books that reflect our community and our people beautifully. So it's quite the honor. Thanks for mentioning it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I'll mention, you mentioned Letty Out Loud, but I'll also mention Maritza, Lead with Your Heart,
Yeah.
me, Frida and the Secret of the Peacock. I can't read my ring. Sorry. Just, I want to make sure I get these right. And then, of course, you've also written some things in conjunction with Disney, with Coco and Encanto. Anything that I missed that you want to make sure to shout out?
Well, my first debut novel was Gabby Lost and Found. And then I followed up that one with Alley First at Last. But other than that, you nailed all of the books. Yeah,
We try. We
I'm
try.
looking back and I'm like, how did I have that many books already? It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So what's led you to the world of authoring, crafting the written word?
Well, gosh, it started in childhood. I mean, I've always been, I think the main thing that's led me into writing is reading,
Hmm
and
hmm
there was a quote a long time ago I read that really fits me as a person. And it said that reading is breathing in and writing is breathing out. And that's how I've always felt about it.
Yeah.
Even when I was a kid reading, breathing in the words, the stories, experiences, and then wanting and being so inspired by that or enjoying it so much that I felt like I couldn't just hold it in. I had to breathe it out.
hmm
And so as a child, I mean, as early as I remember, and I always talk to my sister and my mom about this, like they remember me scribbling stories when I was 8 years old, poetry. Limericks, scary stories on the porch on summer nights in my house. I was always crafting stories since I was that young. And I knew I wanted to be a children's author. I wanted to be an author. I just didn't know how to become an author at that point. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know any authors in my life. No one ever visited my school. So
hmm
I didn't know what that meant, but I just knew that I always wanted to be an author. So what led me to writing is definitely reading some great books, but then also my community that I was growing up in. It was a very large Mexican American community here in Kansas. A lot of our grandparents and our ancestors had come from Mexico and worked in the railroads and settled up a nice community in Kansas. And it was such a rich culture and heritage. I had an amazing childhood. Um, that I just wanted to write about that. I just never saw it in books. And so I said, I have to write about what's around me. So those two
hmm
things I would say is what inspired me and kind of led me on my path to writing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And love what you said there about capturing things around you and life around you that you're not seeing in books. And I
Yeah.
also love what you said there about that connection to authoring communities and how important it is to have authors visit schools and to have interactions with young people that way.
Absolutely. I always get such great feedback from librarians and teachers and the students themselves and parents. It's amazing when, after I do a school visit, a parent will write me and say, my kid came home so excited about meeting you and thank
Mm,
you for what you said to them. And, I must meet hundreds, 200, 300, sometimes 600 kids, depending on the school size in a day. And, you don't realize the impact it makes, but I do now. I know that
yeah.
I'm making an impact, even if I don't see that kid directly in front of me. They're taking some nugget of what I said, the experience home with them and telling their parents about it. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I really love to do author visits, and it's one of the surprising parts of this writing career that I never expected I to love as much as I do. I knew I loved the writing part of it. I knew that I
Hmm.
was love going to conferences and meeting other authors. I didn't realize how much I would love meeting students and going to schools. The traveling is hard, but once you're there in the school and the kids are so excited to see you and the librarians are so happy to see you and the teachers are like just thrilled to have a moment out of their classroom to do something else, something that they're hoping will inspire the students to do better in the classroom. I mean, I
Hmm.
just feel like we're all a team in it together, and I really love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you know that it was children and young people that you wanted to mainly write to in your work?
Yeah, I knew it because when I read Charlotte's Web by E.B. White, that book just had such a profound effect on me. His writing was so crisp and so amazing. And what I love about his book is that kids could read it and love it, but adults could too.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and so I feel like if I only wrote adult books, I had one audience, adults, right? Because kids can't read
Hmm.
them. And I felt with children's books, everyone can read them. I would have a wider audience. I
True,
mean,
true.
I know so many adults that still read Harry Potter, that still read, Charlotte's Web, that still read. And I just remember I want to write the kind of books that everyone can read,
Mm,
and that could be impactful. And what's so beautiful about Charlotte's Web in particular is just the writing is exquisite. I mean, it's just because it's a children's book, a middle grade book, doesn't mean that it just means the topic is appropriate for kids. And from a child's point of view, it does not mean that the quality is any less. And so
mhm.
I think I think the children's books are my favorite books to read, even still. Every once in a while, I'll dabble and move around and try an adult book, and I mean like kind of contemporary kind of fantasy or thriller kind of adult book is what I'm talking
Hmm.
about. Um, but I really do. I always go back to kids' books, children's books, middle grade books. Those are my favorites to read. I think they're amazing. Yeah, I have so many I could recommend. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I love it, love it. But that brings us to this particular book, which you've been kind enough to
Yeah.
share an arc of, which I will then share with a listener as well, thinking the whole world of likes and retweets or something like that. Um, and so this is a little bit of it's a different genre. It's a different take, and I don't do spoilers, but I'll say it has a really interesting possibility for thinking about like the power of storytelling and what you call out into the world, and sometimes how what you call out
Sure, sure.
takes shape and comes to be. So, anything that you'd like to share about the Cursed Moon, which says on sale date is September 5th,
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah, it comes out this fall, right in time for Hispanic Heritage Month and Halloween and all the spookiness that comes along with that. Um, it is a different direction for me. My first books were about young people who volunteered at animal shelters. And then I did a mystery novel based
Mhm.
in Mexico City about the iconic Frida Kahlo. Um, but every but it's not a new direction for me in the sense that even when I was a kid, I was always writing scary stories and telling scary stories. I was recently in San Antonio, and one of my best friends told me that she remembered me always telling really scary stories. And I'd forgotten that part of myself. Like I used to tell scary stories. Yes, you used to do it every summer on the porch. And
Mhm.
it just kind of brought back this memory. Like, you're right. I used to write scary stories and tell scary stories. And I used to get a real kick out of like when kids were too afraid to go home because my story was that good. Like I used to be like, like, awesome,
You've
I got
succeeded.
them. Yeah, I succeeded. And so this book just kind of, I think I was at school visits and I told the kids I was thinking about writing, the students that I was thinking about writing a scary book next, and they all start screaming, throwing up their hands. And then the librarians would tell me, like, yeah, there's simply not enough good
Hmm.
scary books out there for kids, and they want them.
Hmm.
They just run right through them. And I said, well, let me try. And I'm just grateful that Scholastic, my publisher of my last four books, that they kind of took this ride with me and they trusted me to try something different, because I knew I had to do it. I had to try. So it's a really fun book too. And I hope you never know when you write it if the kids are going to like it, but I hope they do. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and it reads briskly and wonderfully, and
thank
yeah,
you.
a wonderful world to step into.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so what's it like to take those new steps as an author and to try something new?
It's really fun for me. I am one of those people, I think you mentioned too, that you can be a person that likes to move around and try different things. And
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm the same way. As a kid, I was the kid in the classroom that got bored very easily. I was always just kind of like, what's next? What are we going to do next? And try something else. So that is kind of part of my writing life too. I'm always just like, what's next? What's different? When people ask me what my favorite books to read are, I don't have one genre. I like to jump around and try different things all the time. And that's the same for my writing. It just You're just not sure if people are going to accept it, and if your publisher is
Hmm.
going to go for it. That's the really only worry you have. But I love it, and I always want to try something different. And my next book, I've signed a two-book deal with HarperCollins, is going to be like a sci-fi fantasy adventure, so that's
I
even a
love it.
different leap for me. But luckily, I love it. I just finished the second draft. It's right here. So
Love
it
it. Love
went
it.
out to my editor last week. So I'm just waiting for feedback now. But I think that's just really exciting to try different things. And I always tell students when I go to school visits, like, I know, if you love mysteries, that's great. Keep reading them. But every once in a while, try a historical fiction, try
Hmm.
a graphic novel. Don't just, read Brave. Like, don't just stick yourself to one type. Just try all different things. And I really hope that resonates with them, because I think it's important to try and read different things around you and read the different books on the bookshelf.
Love it. Love it. Well, I love that phrase, read brave.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That actually anticipates my next question, which was going to be about next creative directions. And I'm excited to hear that it's science fiction because that's sort of a go-to for me.
Oh, cool.
Um, yeah, yeah. And so many wonderful, wonderful works out there already, and great to see that you are joining that conversation of authors in that arena. And I love the accessibility of children's literature as well. So looking forward to seeing how all of those things come together.
Yep. I'm very excited about it too. It should come out September, or I believe it's fall 2024, that one. So,
Nice, nice.
so I have Cursed Moon this September, and then the next one next fall. So yeah, super exciting to be
And
busy.
and then you get to think about the genres and forms that you either try next or return to or take a different approach in. Very
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah. Um, so last official question, and then we can hit anything that we've missed, and that is web spaces to connect with the upcoming book. I'm sure you have events coming up, anything like that that you'd like to share for listeners so that they can continue to connect, and author visits as well. We'll
Oh,
mention
sure.
that.
Yeah. Well, with the new book coming out in September, I'll be doing some book signings. I know I've already got a couple scheduled for Wichita, Kansas, Kansas City, my hometown, and one in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, because I'll be there in October.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. And I'll be at Tweens Read, which is a free book festival for grades fifth through eighth grade, and it's in Houston, Texas every year. So I'll be there in October as well. And then I think I come back to Warrensburg, Missouri for a big book festival there that we have every year. So just a lot of different events, and you can find all of those things on my website, angelacervantes.com. And I'm trying to think anything else that is going on. That's all I can think of right now.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, exciting things, and looking forward to what's next, and glad to share about the Cursed Moon.
Thank you.
Yeah, anything at all that I've missed that you want to make sure to mention before we wrap up the episode?
Oh, sure. I always like to remind people to always visit your independent bookstore when you have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Please support them. And I always like to remind people to read Brave, to always try something outside of your regular books. a different culture, different, stories, different genres, whatever. Just always go out there and try something different.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for talking with me. Glad to be in touch. Glad to talk anytime. Excuse me. And looking forward to the work to come.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.